a frequent contributor to Media Post, and for that we thank him very much. So Drew, get going.
All right. Well, hello everybody and welcome to Facebook Face Off, the only game show where P-Tat will never be confused with P. Diddy, where like is a four-letter word, and engagement has nothing to do with marriage. All right, I'm your host, Drew Neisser, with no hope of giving up my day job, which is running Renegade, as Kathy suggested. But enough about me. Let me introduce our panelists. First up, the two SPMDs, Lucy Jacobs of Spruce Media. Lucy, where are you? Come on up. Yeah, Lucy. And Patrick Toland of Optimal. Come on up, guys. Come on. Yeah, come on. That's it. You guys listening? Lucy, Patrick, all right? All right. How are you guys doing today? Excellent. All right. Well, that's fantastic. All right, now, so there are only 12 SPMDs out there, just so you know. These are very special people. But there are a lot more PMDs, and we're bearing the weight of all the PMDs out there. It's Erica Barth of Resolution Media. Erica, where are you? Come on up. Yeah. It's hard to get this audience going. Okay. See you. Okay, here we go. Now, finally, I am thrilled to introduce the only guy with a budget, and thus the decider, Chris Smith of Bank of America. All right, Chris. Woo! All right, well, welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here at Facebook Face Off. Good to see you. Okay. All right, well, so you can go to the next slide there, right? Okay, good. Oh, that's me. I can do that. There we are. Okay, so there are their handles, just in case you feel like tweeting during this episode. Okay, now, there are a couple important things to get across here. This particular episode is called SPMD versus PMD Smackdown. And the contestants already know the rules, but they don't know about the secret word. So don't look at the slide. Let's see if that is the secret word. The secret word is shh. If you hear them say the secret word, please applause. All right. So now, you guys are tough. All right. Here we go. Contestants, you know the rules. This is make your case. Each of you have 90 seconds to make your case. Lucy, you're going to start. Please tell us how being an SPMD has enhanced Spruce's ability to service clients.
So a little context on the SPMD program. Facebook decided late last year that they were going to delineate SPMDs from approximately 300 companies in the ecosystem to really help brands and advertisers figure out, which partners they should select. And the biggest benefit is working really closely with Facebook on product engineering, analytics, and sales, and being able to work very closely with Facebook to get advanced insight into their roadmap, and then be able to work with Facebook on alphas and betas, which we can take to clients and help them embrace Facebook and kind of get ahead of the curve on testing out those products.
All right. So, thank you. So let's see. Now we have Patrick. Did I do that right? Wait. Yes, Patrick, you have 90 seconds to explain how being an SPMD has enhanced Optimal's ability to service your clients.
Well, to start, I have a dirty secret. We're a PMD, not an SPMD.
Uh-oh.
But I'm going to tell you why being a PMD has actually benefited us during this process, this first iteration. When it first came out, I was quite disappointed because we had been very technically involved with Facebook on things like FBX and custom audiences and very involved in beta programs. And I soon realized my company was okay because companies like Oracle had spent $500 million to be SPMDs and didn't make it. But what it did is it kind of resolved our focus on delivering a better platform for our clients and improving communications with Facebook. And I think the results were we actually still got referred new business from Facebook, and we still got included on beta programs, and I'll talk about that later in the game show. But it brought focus to building a single platform where you could buy all types of Facebook advertising, whether it was FBX or mobile or newsfeed or marketplace or what have you. And even in the last 2 weeks, we've won probably 3 or 4 deals out of 3 or 4 deals. against companies that were SPMDs. So despite the fact that we're not an SPMD, we've still maintained a good relationship with Facebook and been able to deliver results for our clients.
Okay, well, that was a surprise to me as well. But Erica, now you have 90 seconds to explain why not being an SPMD hasn't made a bit of difference. I mean, has not been a problem for Resolution Media.
Sure, and I'm glad that Patrick's here to represent the PMDs because Resolution also sits a little bit differently. We're a digital agency, so we're not a technology company. Our philosophy is really to partner with best-of-breed technologies in the space, so we work with a variety of different PMDs and SPMDs, such as those that are represented up here on the stage. And so we spend a lot of time making sure we really select the right partners, not just those that are really, coding to the different features Facebook's releasing in their platform, but really driving innovation in the space, and that can be an effective partner for us overall in terms of training, services, global scale, things of that nature. And what it allows us to do is, even though we buy Facebook media on a self-serve basis as well, so we really can focus on working with our clients to get the deep understanding of their business, focus on strategy, how does Facebook integrate with the broader media program and overall social programs that they're doing, how can our teams be experts at pulling the levers of how we optimize those campaigns day to day, and really spend the time leveraging the data to draw out the insights that can not only inform future strategy, but really other business decisions our clients have as well.
So far it hasn't made much of a difference for you?
No, because we focus on what are the right partners, whether PMD or SPMD, to work with based on our agency and what our clients' needs are, and we really focus on what are the services and strategy around it that can make that technology and the broader programs effective.
Okay, Chris, you've heard the cases.
So Erica just nailed it. I think the importance here is, if you're a PMD, I kind of think of them as the general contractor, right? And when they need a specialist to bring them in, the SPMD makes a lot of sense. In our case, we worked with a general contractor. They brought in somebody who was not an SPMD, and then about 6 months later, we made a change to the tune of our cost per interaction has been halved, and the level of engagement is actually doubled. So you need somebody that understands your business to kind of manage the broader set, and then bring the experts in to kind of help fine-tune the campaign. Okay, so SPMD versus PMD. So far, I think, Chris gets 20 points, of course, since he's the client. And we'll keep on moving to the next round. Thank you. All right. So, applause now. Remind we're moving right along. Thank you. Thank you. All right. This next one is really going to be interesting because this is called Best Case Wins. Erica, Patrick, and Lucy each have 90 seconds to describe the single most successful Facebook case history. Be as specific as possible, what you did, why you did it, and how it worked. And we're going to start this time with Erica.
Great. Well, the example that I want to give today is for a large entertainment client that we have. They had one of their biggest game releases coming up, and the challenge in the market was that their competitor had recently launched a game as well just a few weeks before. So there was a lot of buzz going around which game would be best, what was going on, and so we wanted to leverage Facebook as well as some other digital performance channels to really drive at their two goals. One being awareness. How could they create as much conversation out there and get as many people engaging with their content leading up to that launch, and then really to convert the demand that was getting generated into sales. And I think what really made the execution and strategy effective for us was bringing together not just what we were doing on Facebook, but really looking at how did that work across paid search, Twitter, YouTube, and all the other online channels that we were using to accomplish these goals. And I think, to give you a few examples of how we brought those together and made it effective, working with the brand, was one, leverage each channel for what it's really good at. So things of, just capturing demand and making sure that we're connecting the core audience and the other audiences they were trying to reach with relevant content. Search is great for that. They developed a lot of really strong video content that we wanted to distribute as widely as possible, but still at a really effective cost per view. And that's really where I think Facebook was really effective, as well as YouTube. And then looking at how we could integrate what was happening with broader media, so making sure that we're flighting based on when TV was running or when other offline events were happening to capture that demand. And then the third was really optimizing faster by learning across channel. So we did things like monitoring blogs that had a lot of buzz or conversation in that specific gaming industry and incorporating that language into different ad copy. Doing creative messaging testing that we could then implement the results across Facebook, search, YouTube, et cetera, to be able to work faster in that short period up to the launch. As well as being flexible with media budget and placements and creative messaging so that when things were working, we could feed more budget there. As well as, refresh creative as needed in different channels. We know Facebook, often has ad wear out faster than some of the other channels, so having the flexibility in the pool of creative to be able to do that. And at the end of the day, we were able to drive over 7 million video views in 48 hours. Their opening day sales and overall sales significantly outpaced any of their previous game releases, and it was definitely one of the most significant events in the entertainment industry of last year.
All right, Patrick, you have 90 seconds to top that case.
That was a good case. We were approached by Facebook last summer about a client of ours, which was a top 100 financial services firm, Fortune 100 rather, financial services firm, and around custom audiences. And the idea is that they would take their list of existing customers, upload that into Facebook, and then map against that to create a targetable segment. The challenge in financial services, I'm not sure if anyone here, well, certainly we've got some present company that knows a lot about financial services, but it's a very difficult segment. It's a very difficult segment to drive fans for, and it's a very difficult segment to drive action for because it's very competitive. But from that program and running custom audiences for them, we had huge success in customer acquisition for them, which was really top of the funnel stuff. But what we did is we also put a few extra twists on it based on our own data analytics capabilities. So we model all of the primary interests on Facebook and have been doing that for 2 years. And the 60,000 top interests we have modeled, so we can correlate when someone is interested in Starbucks and are they more likely to be interested in Pepsi or Coca-Cola. So in building this custom audience, we also can model things like the demographic profiles of those users. So we were able to give back the client a view of what the customer really looked like, drive better targeting using interest level targeting for customer acquisitions with that client, and then also model with them what percentage of their customers that they had in that custom audience were also fans of their page. So we ultimately could get to the super fan and then create a subset of people we could target even more effectively. So it all comes around audience measurement and such. And the results were we got great ROI and great scale. So we ended up growing their fan base by 350%, and we had a 62% of their customers that were fans, 62% rather of their fans were also customers. And we decreased the customer acquisition cost by 60%, and they raised their budget by 10x in the first quarter of this year.
Okay, that's a good case. Lucy.
Great. So last summer we actually worked with Facebook and the agency and the client direct to help Lay's embrace Facebook as a market research tool. So Lay's wanted to develop a new flavor of potato chips. And instead of doing a focus group and getting folks in a room, they decided that they were going to use Facebook as the tool to do their market research. So we developed an app called Do Us a Flavor, and this app we were planning to sponsor with paid media and drive downloads of the app. So the plan was that customers would be able to download this app and submit flavor ideas towards Lay's, and they could win $1 million if their flavor was selected. And what we did is we ran paid media using social ad units, and we had great results with Open Graph sponsored stories. So Open Graph sponsored stories would let people share their app download with their friends. And instead of targeting broadly, we were able to target niche segments as we saw kind of who was downloading the app. And we were able to drive those downloads at $1 price point. The initial target was 3 to 6, so it was really efficient and effective. We got about 100 million viral impressions through the paid media campaign and saw phenomenal results. We've actually subsequently rolled the campaign out globally for Lay's, and Facebook's touting this as a massive success across CPG for all their brands.
All right, Chris, you've heard the cases. Is it smoke or real?
They were all wonderful, but for two reasons, I've got to go with Erica.
All right.
Number one,
Erica.
my dad is a huge gamer, so I
Okay.
have to go with that case. But then secondly, and this is a financial service issue in that we spend a lot of time in the upper part of the funnel. But Erica, you talked about sales. So obviously that's the holy grail. How do you move down the funnel? So for those two reasons,
All right.
I've got to go with the gaming.
All right. Well, another 20 points for Chris, because he's the client, and 10 points for Erica, and 5 for the rest of you. All right. So we're moving on to category we're calling So What's New? Now, Facebook has launched a bunch of new things in the last few months. Each of you have 60 seconds to make your case why your topic is the coolest thing since the like button replaced genuine conversation. So, Patrick, you took retargeting FBX?
Yes, FBX.
Okay. What is it? and
So
why is it great?
it's kind of what's old is new again. FBX is retargeting on Facebook, much like we see from DSPs right now, where you can do some real-time bidding on retargeting across the web. A couple things that are valuable about it. Obviously, there's a recency benefit to the fact that if someone was on your site today at Zappos and saw a pair of red shoes and then goes to Facebook, they can then see that same ad for red shoes or some other recommended products that are attributed or similar to those red shoes. Obviously, that brings relevance as well, and results. We ran a campaign just in the last 3 weeks for actually a gaming client, and dropped we were 40% below their CPA target as a result of using FBX. But a couple things of caution around FBX, just so everyone's aware. One, there are challenges still with scale. Facebook is kind of tempering how much inventory they're letting go through FBX. And two, pricing. We're very transparent in our pricing on FBX, and I think that right now the DSPs tend to stick with sort of their old model, which has less transparency in pricing. So a couple things to be aware of when looking at FBX.
All right, Patrick. So, Chris, Facebook search?
All right, so we can stop after this one.
Yeah.
All right. So let me hit you with some numbers here that I had to write down. So Facebook's got 1 billion folks, trillion connections.
Right.
Of the 1 billion folks, they're spending a quarter of all of their online time on that particular platform. And if you go back to when Google went public and sort of blew Wall Street away when they showed the power of their numbers. So in that case, you're getting recommendations from people you don't know, third-party sites. But with Facebook, you're actually going to get recommendations from people you do know, or at least people that are connected to that network. So in terms of share price and all of that, I expect Facebook, if they can pull this off, Facebook search, you know, it could be a 10-bagger. Who knows?
Wow. Okay. So, Lucy, custom audience?
So custom audiences lets advertisers use their first-party data and essentially remarket their audience within Facebook. So you can either map on Facebook user IDs or email addresses or phone numbers. We've seen really good results for e-commerce clients, retail clients, and we're able to use it in a couple of different ways. So being able to essentially remarket to people that haven't engaged with your brand in a while, being able to do segment analysis and target different messages to different people. There are some kind of privacy concerns with custom audiences, so as marketers upload their data, it essentially gets anonymized and hashtagged out. But there has been a lot of pushback, specifically from, you know, obviously verticals like financial services and telco, and have been kind of debating the way that they're going to use custom audiences. But we've definitely seen strong results across retail and e-commerce, and we think that, you know, the scale of Facebook and self-reported user data is incredibly powerful, and we're just kind of, you know, initially testing.
All right. Erica?
Mobile app install ads.
All right.
Yeah. So I think, you know, portions of what Facebook's looking to do with their, you know, fairly new mobile app install ads is still a little bit TBD, depending what they do with their mobile ad network and where they might go. And I know there's been some recent news of, you know, pending deals, you know, potentially purchasing Atlas that could affect that. But even within the Facebook environment, we're really excited about it for clients that do have apps that they're looking to promote, because it is a little bit different than some of the other mobile channels they can use, where now we can bring all of the great things about Facebook targeting to that environment. So understanding, you know, the social context of their connections, if they've used that app, if their friends have used it, the different demographics or likes and interests, we can all of a sudden segment the audiences and how we're targeting trying to get people to install those different apps for the brands that we work with and really do a lot of different testing and optimization that we don't always have the ability to do at scale with some of the other channels out there.
Okay, those are amazing. Thank you, all 15 points, each of you. All right, we're going to move on to the next round here, which we're calling agency versus client. And in this round, the agencies get to share the most common mistakes that clients make when marketing on Facebook. You just have 30 seconds. Lucy.
They don't understand how Facebook's truly different to search or display, so we lose count on a weekly basis how many RFPs we get that essentially are display RFPs repurposed for social.
All right. Erica, biggest mistake clients make?
Yeah, I think planning what they're doing within Facebook in a silo and not really understanding how that can interplay with their PR efforts, with the broader media program. It all should come together to really be most effective, and when they're not looked at in that way, I think they're really missing the boat.
Patrick?
Assuming that small budget success is going to lead to big budget success, spending just a few $1,000s on Facebook does not necessarily reflect what's going to happen when you spend a lot of dollars.
Spending is not projectable. Okay, Chris, so you're the sole client here. Please enlighten these hotshot agencies how they're screwing up.
Well, first of all, they're all right. That's the first thing.
Very diplomatic.
We do have that problem. I think it's, let's not be afraid to go down the funnel or at least put some hypotheses out there that we can test against. I think in a lot of cases we can prove the upper funnel piece, but there is an ROI there that's based in sales, so let's get to it.
Get to ROI.
Yes.
Agencies don't talk about ROI a lot.
No.
No. Okay. All right. 50 points for Chris. 25 for the rest of you. All right. And that joke's getting tired. So now we're going to move on to the lightning round. And in this, one word will do. Okay. We're going to start from right to left. Pick one metric that matters most on Facebook.
PTAT for sure. So people talking about this, take out the folks that you paid to acquire, smooth that across a few weeks. It gets your engagement, gets all of that in there.
One word. Here we go.
Right. Fan retention rate. I still hear a lot of clients really focused on fan acquisition and what's my cost per like, but make sure you're getting the right fans that are really engaging. We've seen some dramatic changes from other agencies we've taken over business from.
All right.
Virality.
Virality. All right. And Lucy?
I was going to say PTAT. I agree with Chris.
It's okay. PTAT's fine. We can have two answers for that. All right. Next, what is a bigger error? Well, we'll start over here. Posting too frequently or too infrequently on Facebook?
I'd say neither. I'd say it's not understanding the audience and the content that the audience is engaging with. So, you typically would post once a day, but I'd say that posting too frequently or infrequently with content that doesn't resonate is a bigger challenge.
I would say too frequently, for the same reason I don't like to see what my friends are doing when they're tying their shoes or walking to their car and posting about it. I don't want to hear about an advertiser doing the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with Lucy. It's neither it's the right content. You can post it all the time or less frequently. It doesn't matter if it's not the right content. Once you've got the right content, it's really easy to use the data to optimize the right time of day and the right frequency to make it work most effectively.
Lucy's right.
All right. Moving on to the next question. Would you buy Facebook stock for your kids' college savings fund? We'll start with you, Chris.
Yes, I have because of search. So I've just gotten involved, but I am keeping a very focused eye on it. So 6 months is my horizon, and then I'll reevaluate.
That's a yes.
Yes.
Well, I don't have kids, so this is probably why it's an easy decision for me, but I'd say yes right now. They've got the audience. It's growing. Again, I would keep an eye on it, but right now it's too big to ignore.
Yes, 100%.
100%. Okay.
Yes, I'd say that there's a lot of upside still to come if you look at Facebook and the kind of very conservative approach they've taken to monetization, and then you think about things like search and off-Facebook ad network. There's a lot of upside to come.
All right, that's a solid buy. 4 for 4. Okay. In the last question in the lightning round, before we get to the customer, to the audience questions. All right, get out your crystal balls and tell us the one thing you expect to see or would like to see from Facebook in the next 12 months. Lucy, we'll start with you.
Off Facebook ad network.
Off Facebook ad network. Okay?
I was going to say the same thing.
Really? Oh, well, some of you explain what that is?
Well, the idea of taking on AdSense and having a distributed ad network, we can leverage all the data from Facebook in your ad buys off of Facebook.
Cool. Okay.
It's just enhanced tracking capabilities so that we can not only measure the effectiveness of what's happening within Facebook, but how that really impacts cross-channel. And I think, you know, Facebook's hearing the feedback there and are looking at ways to make that happen while still not giving up the data that they know is really valuable to them.
Chris?
I think for me, it's the fact that we get throttled at about 16%, 17% of our audience when we put out organic posts. I've got some Twitter guys at my table, so I want to give them a shout out. But there are other networks that have a dramatically lower cost per engagement or high value task. They got to do something about that.
So you'd like to see the engagement cost go down?
The audience that I've already paid to bring together is kind of irritating.
Yeah, you talk to the guys at the Boston Celtics. They feel that way very strongly, having built 8 million fans and now having to pay to reach them. It bothers them quite a bit. So, all right then. First, let's give these guys a round of applause. Yes. Now, these guys, these are four of the most foremost experts on Facebook. Surely you have some questions for them. Okay. Well, I can't.
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
Mike Hermes. A question about FBX. Is it open to anybody, and is there or is there a minimum spend for it?
There's no minimum spend. However, you need to have a cookie pool to get scale. So I have some clients with, you know, very small cookie pools that don't understand why they can't get the scale. So that's a big challenge. As I said, Facebook is throttling the amount of inventory that they're making available to FBX. I've heard less than 10%. I've heard less than 25%. I'm not sure what the number is, but the data suggests, at least for us, on people even with 15, 20 million cookies that they want to target, they're having a difficult time spending at a scale that's significant. But I think by I think 6 months down the road, they're probably going to open up a lot of that right-handed rail to FBX because it is highly, highly effective.
Other questions out there? I have other questions, but do you have a question? Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm just ready with my mic. Okay, you go, Drew.
All right. So one question I have is that Facebook, what is the percentage of mobile viewing of Facebook? Like 20, 23%, I think I saw most recently. And applications don't work on mobile. So that's 1 out of 5 of your customers can't engage with mobile, with the apps that a lot of companies are spending a lot of money on. Should clients be moving away from apps because of the inability to engage with them on mobile?
I'll take this one. So I actually asked that exact question, I think, of the number 8 employee of Facebook, and I thought he had swallowed his tongue, right? He's like, no, you shouldn't not, keep doing the app thing. I would say at the end of the day, we're not spending a lot of money or time in the app field. And I think that Zuckerberg himself has come out and has said...
Secret word.
Secret word. Whoa.
What?
Millionaires are overrated T-shirt. Whoa, congratulations.
This is fabulous.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I'm going to leave this for housekeeping as the tip.
I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah.
Keep going. So Zuckerberg.
So I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Apps.
Yeah, so apps, that's not an area that I would spend a lot of time.
I think lightweight apps are okay. I think they're a good way to drive engagement. I don't think building, $50,000 to $100,000 apps and expecting some giant return on them, but I think there's ways to build lightweight apps that make sense and can drive engagement and ultimately ROI.
Yeah, I think it's really thinking about where they can make their investments and is it going to add value and how does it tie back to their overall strategy, because again, anything's an investment, so to make sure that you can get the reach to the right audience at the times you want, I think is how you have to do that prioritization exercise, knowing that most of the clients and brands we work with just don't have the unlimited funds to invest in every potential area they could be going after.
It's a lot of mouths to feed. As you begin to put these things out, you have to...
Well, the thing that's concerning me, though, is that one of the brilliance of the most interesting apps are apps that allow you to engage friends and so forth and bring them in. And you can't do that on mobile. So clearly Facebook needs to solve that issue so that they can deliver that same kind of...
Can I get one more plug in, though?
Please.
We do have a servicing app. I've got some of my retail Bank of America people here. It's so very useful for that in terms of being able to have a secure back and forth, solving issues and those types of things. But beyond that, like building games and things like that, obviously it's a brand decision, but yeah.
We have a question over there.
Okay.
Chris Heelan, Ad Parlor. I was just curious to understand how the issue with privacy on custom audience is being dealt with, particularly with some of the financial firms.
So Patrick and I are going to talk at some point later today. In terms of privacy, that is an area that, from a risk mitigation, compliance, perspective, bringing those two things together to me seems like there could be issues that need to be dealt with. And I can say at our company, Bank of America, that's going to be something that we're going to sit down with the risk teams, understand every aspect of it before we would even take a step in that direction. So with that,
I mean, I think that certainly it's a risk tolerance measurement you have to have on your own brand. And financial services, there's a lot more at stake. But I think, again, it's kind of, I don't go to brands saying they should do it, and I don't really have an opinion necessarily on the privacy issues. I mean, I think that it's pretty separate on Facebook, and I don't personally have a privacy issue with it, and I don't really care about my own privacy as it relates to it. So therefore, that's only my opinion, but it's really up to the brand themselves to figure that out.
Yeah, I was just going to add, like, the FFIEC, which is a consortium of, like, the Federal Reserve and others, have just come out with proposed guidelines, but privacy is all in there, so that's something that we've got to go through and understand disclosures and all of those things. So.
Okay, I have one last question for the audience, which is, first, with the SPMDs that are in the audience, would you raise your hand? There are a couple here, I think. All right, good. Okay, and then just to be clear, an SPMD is the one of 12 companies at Facebook designated as a strategic developer. Okay, now, I think that's all the time that we have, so I'm going to move on, and I want to thank Erica. Wait. How are we doing? Oh, I don't have sound. There's no sound. Where's my sound? It's so important.
Oh, well, you want me to sing, Drew?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Jeopardy theme. No, it's a Jeopardy theme song. It was so important. There it is.
Oh, thank you, contestants.
Thank you.
Please give them a round of applause.
Yeah, now look, before we go, you're all winners in my book, and that's why I'm giving you your very own Boo plush toy. And Boo, if you may know, is the most popular dog on Facebook. And I'm Drew Neisser, and oh, by the way, you'll all get your Billionaires Are Overrated t-shirt. And remember, like it or not, Facebook is not a game played lightly.
Yes, okay. Chris, you look overwhelmed with all the wonderful prizes you've gotten. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. So before I introduce our next presenter, I'm going to do my personal bit of housekeeping. In addition to telling all of you that you need to sign up for your activities, the Media Post staff is going to start emailing me soon about that, so I'm just getting ahead of the curve. You can just pop out at some opportune time. This is not one of those times, by the way, but to sign up for some of the stuff that's going on this afternoon. Another thing I wanted to point out is that just to make sure everybody's paying attention, the start date for the opening the start time for the opening keynote every day is different. So today was 9 o'clock. Tomorrow is 8:45. We're going to have Jennifer Winberg here from Momentum. And on Wednesday, we're going to have Brian Madden from Hearst, and he starts at 8:30. So if you think you can just go strolling in here at 9 o'clock, take your Advil, get here early, I'd really appreciate it, and they would too. So our next contestant, presenter, is Ann Mack from JWT, who's Director of Trend Spotting. Ann and I have known each other for a long time, so I'm really happy to have her here. We worked at Adweek once upon a time. And she has since gone on to be kind of one of the key trend watchers in the industry. And every year she and her team come out with a report about the 10 big trends of the year. And one of them really caught my eye, which was this whole concept of going public and private, or private and public, excuse me. At any rate, I don't know what going public and private is, but anyway. But the whole concept is that, all of us are on social networks. We really enjoy them, but I think there's a growing sort of awareness on the part of consumers that you can't, that you got to like watch what you're doing a little bit, and that you might not want to tell everybody what you're doing at all times, and that the content that goes up there is up there permanently. I think it's really fascinating that since we came up with this session, that there have been things like Snapchat that have launched that sort of, to me, get into this issue a little bit of, my content doesn't need to be up there forever and for all time, and that maybe things that are ephemeral and go away are good things. My life isn't that embarrassing personally, but maybe yours is. I don't know. So, are you having a technical? Are we still waiting? Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So anyway, it's kind of an interesting, topic and all that. So have you guys done Snapchat yet? Okay, anybody? Okay, one guy. You're like the he's like the youngest guy in the room probably, right? That's Alan from Abercrombie. Okay, yeah, I don't know, like soccer mom's not really my thing. I'm still wondering if my son is like doing that kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah. So now, okay, here's a question: how many of you have been playing around with Vine? Okay, I knew Guy was going to raise his hand. Duh. Okay, how many of you have produced a 6-second commercial to go on Vine? Get it? Okay. What? You guys have done a 6-second commercial? Oh, no. Oh, you have a commercial for yourself. Yeah. So are we good to go? We'll see. Well, so please give Anne a round of applause and help her through any technical difficulties she may experience. Thanks.
Just going to see if it works back there.
I can riff all day, Anne, so don't worry about it. I know, it's sad, actually.
Okay, we're just going to need 2 more minutes.
Oh, okay. But don't go sign up back for activities yet because there's not enough time.